Hey, everybody. It is Jim Johnson, your host here with Contractor Radio and the head coach at Contractor Coach Pro, where we help contractors get control of their business so they can then grow their business and find that personal and financial freedom they were aspiring to whenever they started their business. And I have an awesome guest today because this guest has a knack for doing just what we talked about, helping you get control of that business, allowing it to scale and grow. And then he's found a couple of ways to free himself up to do some pretty amazing things. But before we get there and we talk about that and what it takes to be this kind of entrepreneur, we're going to have a little word from one of our sponsors, our premier sponsor, our rock star guys that we love over at Atlas Roofing.
The Atlas Pro Plus Contractor Program is designed to help you build your business. It gives you tools and resources, training, industry insights, bonus structures, technical knowledge, the brand power and science of 3M Scotchgard, and what we think is the best product and warranty in the industry. Become part of the family that is succeeding and growing their businesses.
We went from nobody ever heard of us to the #1 roofing company in our region.
And we've gone from 12 roofs a year to 20, 35, and we did over 400 last year.
We're on track right now to do 1,000 roofs this year.
You'll begin earning Atlas bucks and rewards as you move up to even greater reward levels. Become an Atlas Pro today.
All right. If you are a roofing contractor out there or have roofing as one of the trades that you do, go check out the folks over at Atlas. This year, they've come out with a lot of new innovation and technology for their shingles. It's going to set yourself apart from everybody else out there. And that is one of the keys to being a successful contractor is being different. So we want to talk a little bit about being different today. And I have a pretty amazing guest today. I don't know if I've ever interviewed a guest like this. And so, this gentleman is the founder of Jobtread. He's also a former commercial general contractor. He was named to Inc. magazine's 30 Under 30 World's Coolest Entrepreneur. I can't wait to talk about that. He was also named to Impact 100 list Best Young Entrepreneurs. He got those awards at the White House in the United Nations. It's pretty cool to talk to somebody that's actually been to the White House and earned a recognition for his entrepreneurial skill. That is awesome stuff, Eric. Welcome to the show, Eric Fortenberry.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I was doing some research on you, and I'm like, man, how in the world do you get like? Where does that? I didn't even know that list existed, but I think I like it better than any of the other lists that I've heard. I hear like Inc. 500 and all these other things, but 30 world's coolest, emphasis on coolest entrepreneurs. Where'd that all come from?
Yeah, so that one, the Inc. 30 Under 30, that was Inc. magazine's. I guess that was during my first software startup. Just somehow got found, and they reach out to you and ask you to apply, and we ended up having to create like a whole video production thing for it, and it was pretty neat. Pretty neat opportunity though to get that recognition when I think I was like 29 or something when that happened.
That's pretty awesome. So, kind of software wired. You have a CRM that is designed for residential remodelers. Is that the best way to describe it? Jobtread?
Yeah, I mean it works really any construction based business. I mean, if you're running construction jobs, specifically jobs where you got to custom bid those jobs, you're building out a budget. Sending out proposals, you've got customers, homeowners, who are going to, approve those orders, make their selections, you're invoicing them, things like that. I mean, really any construction, business is able to benefit from this.
So it's an odd like transition, and you earned that award with OrgSync. So why don't you walk us through this transition from software to general contractor and back to software? What does that look like?
Sure. Yeah. So OrgSync was my first software company. I started it pretty much right out of school. I worked at an investment bank for even less than a year, where I went and ended up starting that software company. We sold software to colleges and universities, as a way to help students to get involved and engaged. Long story short, though, we sold it to over 650 universities in 13 countries, had over 20 million users on our site when we ended up getting acquired in 2015. And so it was after that, it was a buddy of mine who was running the GC here in Dallas, said, "Hey man, can you come help me, figure out how to scale this business?" They're basically just, pen and paper, they got just about 10 employees doing about 5 million in revenue at that point. But I walked in day one, and I mean, it was just like total disarray, like chaos, like, just papers walking in the door, going into a folder, being put into this binder, moved over to this, area, had meetings where they were typing that stuff in, and then they copy it from one spreadsheet to another, and then someone, types it into QuickBooks. Like, I mean, I just like, I think in one place I found like quadruple data entry, and my mind almost exploded. I was just like, wow, like these are the most inefficient processes I've ever seen. And I'm super like OCD, like efficient, got to streamline things. Like don't want to waste time on, manual processes that can be automated. And, basically the guys are just like, well, can you help us, figure out how to scale this thing? Like, what do we need? I was like, well, you clearly need some software, and so I went out and I looked at everything under the sun, from Buildertrend, CoConstruct, Procore, Jobber, we tried it all, and I made this big spreadsheet. And at the end of the day, though, like I struggled to make a recommendation on which one, they should implement. And, essentially just everything, it either, was super expensive, it was going to require a lot of customization, or it was, in my opinion, fairly antiquated. And it looked like, it had been started 10, 15, 20 years ago. It just wasn't up to speed with kind of modern technology. And, I struggled to make a recommendation. They're like, well, you're a software guy. Can't you just build us something? I was like, well, I don't want to create another one-off like solution that you're going to have to maintain at some point. I wasn't, wanting to commit to, basically being here forever with these guys. And, they kept pushing me though. And so, finally I agreed. I said, my conditions are that I take over the company as CEO. I give you 1 year, and everything I build is my intellectual property. So, if this has potential, if we create something that, has an opportunity for me to build my next company out of, then, I had that option there, and, took over the company. Built this, basically we started with the estimating part, worked all of our, kind of making sure that our guys were building out budgets, instead of just kind of salespeople making up numbers and, sort of back of the envelope,
A sales guy would never do that, right?
We're going to create a budget builder, and we're going to come up with what are our costs, and then we're going to automatically calculate the price, and like, funny enough, like and it took a while for me to figure this out, but like some of the guys were using margin to calculate their price. And some of the guys were using markup. So they didn't realize that a 30% markup wasn't going to get you a 30% profit margin. We're trying to hit 30% profit on our jobs. And so, we're literally shooting ourselves right in the foot right out of the gate, and so, started with the estimating, getting that all shored up. And then we moved into, the production side of it, the scheduling, work orders, purchase orders, tracking all of that, the quality control with videos, photos, kind of organizing all of that. And then ultimately we ended up with the accounting side of it with, the AR, generating invoices, pushing that into QuickBooks, and then the accounts payable side with the, the vendor bills, the sub bills, paying all that out. So, basically built Jobtread out of a needs basis, grew it from 5 to 8 million in sales that year. And we increased our gross profit by 43% just by tuning the system, by getting our pricing shored up, by tracking everything, doing the job costing. Like, they had no idea where they were making money and where they were losing money. And so they just kept making the same mistakes over and over, and they had no idea about it, and it's like, if you focus on things and you start tracking, your cost and your data and your profits, well, then you can start course correcting and making changes. A lot of times, like, we're just using outdated, pricing, our material costs might've been outdated, or, we're sending the same subs back that were just, underperforming, and we never tracked it, never knew it. And we're, it's just the same cycle. And, it was literally just total crapshoot on how we were going to perform on any given job. When I walked in, and, we had a well-oiled machine at the end of that year, and, pretty excited. They, this last year, they just grew, they hit over 16 million in sales. This year, they're on track for 20 million. So
wow.
Yeah, been pretty awesome to see what they've been able to accomplish after that. But, that was pretty much running that company for a year was my deep dive into the construction space. Obviously had a lot of the software background, but, whether you're building a home or you're building some software, I love it, constructing things and creating things. And, so it's pretty exciting for us. And, but that was in 2018, 2019, we formed Jobtread. I recruited some of my developers from my last company where they came on, and essentially rebuilt everything I did, set it up where we could, actually sell it to, many construction companies instead of, my version was just for that one. And we built for a couple of years, and 2021, we started selling it to the market. I definitely underestimated how challenging it was going to be to start up a business in the middle of COVID and the pandemic and all that. And, but finally, when we could start going back out to the trade shows, got to get out there, meet people face to face. I mean, started picking up some traction. I think at the end of 2021, we had about, 200 customers using Jobtread. Last year, 2022, we came almost to 1,000 contractors. Now we're sitting at about 1,300 active customers on it. So it's very quickly and exponentially growing on us. And, we continually, are building out the product. We view our customers as our partners, and, that's how we just keep evolving and keep improving it.
Wow. What a story. Like, I was sitting here I don't know if you know my background or not. Contractor started back in the late 90s. And it was the first thing I noticed. Like, everything was Excel spreadsheets, hard folders. You move them along, like they just go through the little thing. And everybody had like these file boxes they carried around with them whenever they were out in the field. And I went, what are we doing here? And like the only thing that was really available at that time was like Microsoft Exchange and Microsoft Access. We ended up building a database off of that. It had a front end on it that you could actually do some stuff with.
Yep.
And I've always been wired that way, because the more efficient you can be is the more effective you can be in the long run. And kind of took that thing along and ended up building a piece of software called Silver Lining that did pretty well. It was an estimating tool that spit out your order and supply order and all of your estimating for your job, made it really fast. Like, you do it in 5 minutes.
Nice.
With all accessories and everything. And AccuLynx found out about that. They bought it from me. I became their director of sales for the first 5 years. And it was really needed. I can remember talking to people like, all right, so we're going to take all that stuff that's on your like server there, and we're going to put it on the cloud. They're like, no dice, man. We're not doing any of that.
No.
So things have changed quite a bit since those days, obviously. What was the biggest challenge? Like, as you step into that world with, hard files, hard copies, in a commercial contracting situation. So you've got a lot of jobs going on at the same time.
Yep.
It's not like in a single trade operation where, while they may be all going on at the same time, it's like one trade, bam, done, bam, done, bam, done. You've got this long time frame that things are being done. What were some of the hurdles for that aspect of tracking a job throughout this lifespan? Because like remodeling can take 6 months.
Yep.
Very different thing than doing a roof in a day or a fence in 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it, that was one of the big challenges, was the number of concurrent jobs that we could run at one time. And when I walked in, we're about 10, 15 jobs, maybe, at one time. A year later, we're able to run, 70 to 80, concurrent jobs, barely added any headcount or anything. But, I think, just having the, where if you got subs that are, essentially having to be babysit, and you got your, your project managers having to, go out on the site every single day, having to check in, well, that's where their time now goes to. And now we're having to have even more, kind of people out on the job site monitoring the progress every single day, for us. And I actually even, one day I went and I followed around some crews. Like, I went to the job site, showed up at 8 a.m. I'm like, where is everyone? And they stroll up about 9 a.m. And, I realized that all 3 of them had gone to Home Depot to purchase all the materials. And so I'm like, okay, obviously we should have had the materials on site ready to go, and that, fine, we could get past that. But then, about 11, they realized that they needed to go get some more materials. And so instead of just one guy going, all 3 of them go back to Home Depot for another, 45 minutes to an hour, come back to the job site. Well, now it's lunchtime. Let's take a break. So then they go do that. And then they come back in the afternoon, and no, I'm not kidding you. They had to go back to Home Depot again and again. Instead of sending one guy or calling the office or, hey, whatever, all 3 of them go back to Home Depot. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on? And that's when I realized, though, that like we had everyone was kind of, misaligned in how we were compensating. We were basically selling a job at a fixed price, but then we were paying our subs time and material. So they were incentivized to drag this job on. And, why would they want to work harder? Let's go to Home Depot, sit in the AC, take however long we need in the bathroom. And, I don't know, maybe they're inventorying Home Depot. Like, I still don't understand how you spend that much time, but like, they're literally like, we had a misalignment here. And so that again is now leading to more having to babysit, having to send people out to the job site. Are they there? Are they, doing the amount of time and the work that needs to be done? And then also though, like not having visuals. And so like when we basically ended up implementing where if they wanted to get paid for that day, they had to submit their photos, videos, show us exactly what you've completed. Like, do not step foot off this job site until I can see what you have done. I don't care if you're done or not. I want to see what progress is made. And when we were able to start collecting that, that data, that allowed us, the project managers, to really not have to go out every single day to check on things. They could just basically look at the photos, watch the videos, and understand how are we tracking. And that was going to help us better, monitor the quality throughout the job. I mean, there was this time where, we basically had these massive barn doors that we had to take off this one building and put onto this other building. And then it was like a whole, there were like 5 or 6 of these buildings. Well, the guys went out, they literally took the door off the wrong building and went and put it on this other building. Like, and again, like it's just total disarray. But like we could have prevented that if we had seen photos, when they got there, when, as they're making progress.
Hey, wait a minute. That's the wrong building, everybody.
Yeah. Like what,
and,
we this one guy, we were installing a bunch of fencing. And then, of course, the customer doesn't tell you until the very end. They're like, hey, that's great, but that's not what I paid you for. You did the fence on the west side. We needed the east side replaced. And this, what do you do at that point? Like we could have spotted that along the way if we were better at sharing, hey, here's all the plans, the photos. The subs always complain that I get to the job and then they don't know what to do. The estimator hadn't sent them all this, the requirements. They don't have the plans. They don't, they're sitting there waiting on their phone. They're trying to get a hold of them. Like, again, like being able to have that collaborative environment, to have the plans, to have the photos, to have the drawings, like all ready for you, the scope of work, the specifications, like it all needs to be teed up and ready for the guys when they get there, and then again, just showing us where you're at throughout the day. And at the end of the day, that lets us have that visual so that we can check in if we want to, send some photos to the customer, get their, hey, like, is this looking right? Is this what you're expecting? Like getting those kind of check-ins and that, those sign-offs along the way was huge for us. And that's how, we could then start kind of, figuring out where do we need to spend our time. If there are jobs that are on budget, they're on schedule, we're good. Like, I trust those guys. They're good. That, let's go focus on the, the jobs where they're starting to go off the rails, and that's where, again, being able to monitor the budget and the job costs in real time, let us know where to focus our efforts. And, I think those are probably the, some of the biggest challenges, but when you address those, it allowed us to really kind of hone in on where we needed to focus our time.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a process. It's never perfect, right? Yep. There's no such thing as a perfect process. There's ideally it should go this way, but wherever those mistakes are made, if we can actually see them and have data back from them, we can make those adjustments and get closer to perfection if possible. Yep. The whole photographic and video documentation thing, man, there's a time, and I wish that would have been a thing that existed. I'll never forget a homeowner calling me and saying, hey, you guys are tearing my siding off. I went, okay, great. I assume we're supposed to be. And she goes, no, I'm not one of your customers. And literally like the house next door, right?
Oh, no.
And I've had a roof, and you're like, hey, guess what? You get some new siding. Hey, you get the roof, and there's just money on fire. Is literally like setting it on fire. And watching those guys go back and forth to Home Depot is, I would have an aneurysm as an owner. Just, oh my God, it would kill me. Yeah. So there was something I noticed whenever the way I met you guys is I was at the painting contractors conference, and somebody reached out to us, I think almost at the same time, because we were going to the event. You guys saw we were going to the event. And Taylor reached out and said, hey, Eric would like to do a podcast with you. And all that was kind of going on at the same time as I was actually meeting your people. They were at the booth. I hadn't seen it before. Me being a CRM guy, I'm always like, hey, what's the newest, latest, greatest thing out there? And your people were amazing. They're really good. And not just like, hey, they're solid sales folks. They were just good people. And then as I look back into your history, one of the things that I believe OrgSync was known for was this place to work. Yep. Do you still see that? Is that still a big point of focus for you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we, are basically racked up a ton of best places to work awards. At OrgSync, we actually just got number 2 best place to work in Dallas this last year by the Dallas Business Journal. It's something that what I've learned is like the most important thing that you can do as a business owner. And like my chief role here, right, is to get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus. Sometimes, not every hire is going to be the right fit and the perfect one. You got to address it when there's an issue, but then you figure out how to drive the bus together. You make sure everybody's in the right seats, in the right roles. You gotta build the best team that you possibly can. And when you do that, when you get people who, are just extremely motivated, extremely intelligent, hardworking people, you get them all around the team. That's something that, there's just like this energy, when you build an awesome team together. And I think that's one of the things that, I got to say I'm most proud of is the team that we built here at Jobtread. My last team was awesome. We had about 60 of us in Dallas, and probably, I don't know, at this point, maybe a quarter, a third of the team. We've all worked together before. My entire leadership team, we all worked together. We ran that last company. We've had a lot of people that have kind of come over. And so it's, it is very important that you get the right people on your team, and, sky's the limit, man. When you can do that, it's awesome. And I think almost all of our team too has, like, we sort of all randomly went off into construction after that first company. And then we've come back in here. I mean, like I think my entire marketing team has, either worked at, construction companies or has had experience in it. The entire customer success team, our sales team has also come out of construction. So, our team, I mean, my dad, who's also our CFO, I mean, he was a home builder before this. Like we've all had that construction experience. And so that's been tremendously helpful for us to understand, the challenges and really get the problems so that we can build the best solutions possible. And, I think you just, you find those people who've got the right skill set, whether it's, customer success, sales, marketing, but then also like just innately understand the market and the industry and what we're trying to do. I think it's a great, kind of success team there.
So there's a time gap there between OrgSync and Jobtread.
Yep.
Everybody went their own ways. Someone maybe stayed there. Someone went off and did their own thing. You went off and did your own thing. And then you kind of put out the call, right? Like, hey, I got this thing. Come on.
Yep.
Can you identify what it is about you that would make somebody go, yeah, I want to be on your team?
People, probably the number one thing I hear is, super passionate. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I work really, really hard, and I'll also tell you at the same time, like, I don't believe I've worked a day in my life. Like, when you genuinely love what you're doing, you're excited every morning. Like I'm so fired up every morning to get into the office. Like we all come in, and by the way, like we don't do any remote work. Our entire team. So I think we've got like 21 or something people now. We are all in the same office in Dallas, Texas. Like we're all together. But I think it's probably just that it's that passion, man. Like, we're building something awesome. We believe that we can create a new standard for construction. We're just very passionate about, technology, about software, about construction. All of our, kind of just interest are very well aligned. And, when you create an environment with, a bunch of, driven, motivated, type A people who just want to go and, put up points on the board, and we're in this to win. We're competitive. We just really enjoy being on a team with others who are driven like that. And, I think we just create an awesome culture with that. And, I think one of the cool things too, like, I mean, like I said, my dad is the first person I hired at my last company, first person I hired here. Like, having the ability to work with him, we try to create that family, culture, if you will, where, we work hard, but we play hard. We do team lunches every Wednesday where, the entire team comes together, company, kind of everyone gets to sort of pick what you want each week. But, we come together, we've got a who's kicking ass box where anyone can, put in anything for anyone in the team. We read those out, first person pulled gets a gift card. But, it's just, bringing the team together, and just celebrating your rewards along the way. Like you're going to spend more time with your teammates, than you're going to spend in your own, family at home at night, and on the weekends. Like, I mean, you got to make sure that you've got the right people, together, and then just enjoy the journey. And, I think we all just see this as a great opportunity. We're all very appreciative of the opportunity to be able to work with so many contractors and builders, to have that, those people to help us, create this together. This is a collaborative effort. It's not, we don't have to know all the answers to everything. We can tap into all these, awesome customers who we're working with, who can help us come up with the best solutions. And, we study everything that's out there, and they, people, a lot of times bring the things they know that they love and the things that they hate. say, hey, well, let's talk about it. Like, let's figure out how can we make the best possible solution, given your experiences, and, just kind of looking at those things. And it's just a cool time, man. Like we're getting to create a solution that is very much needed in the construction industry. I mean, I was very shocked when I originally looked in, and like, I mean, construction is lagging in technology compared to a lot of other industries. And I mean, I wouldn't have thought that, but there's a huge opportunity here, and it's just fun, exciting times. I think with COVID and the whole, that whole, situation, like it brought about, the need for software. And I mean, like Zoom, now everybody knows what Zoom is. Like, my first company, we might have to spend the first, 15 or 20 minutes of our meeting helping them get on to GoToMeeting or WebEx or whatever it was. Like, now everybody knows about Zoom. They understand it. Like, now people are starting to really realize that, like, you got to have software, you got to have processes and technology in place to be more efficient. That allows you, to oversee and manage jobs regardless where you're at. And so I think it's, it's just kind of the right time, the right place, the right people. It's good time.
I can tell what it is. You nailed it with literally the first word out of your mouth. You're passionate. You ebb energy, and energy and passion are contagious. People are starved for it. I think most of the places that people work is like, hey, show up at 8, do my job, leave at 5, go do my thing, and just the next day I do the same thing. Where it doesn't feel like that when you're around an energetic, passionate, charismatic person that's really got something they're after. And you're like, man, he's so excited. I want to be excited about this too. And it sounds like you have some other people on your team that probably have some of that about them as well. What's it like working with your dad?
It's funny. I get asked that question a lot. And, I'd say in the beginning, it was kind of like the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time we're loving each other. 20% of the time we're like, at each other's jugulars. And, I remember he like cut me off and took away my credit card in the first company. And like, we had all sorts of, just challenges, right. Sometimes, but, it's been great, man. Like, my dad's always been my mentor. We've learned to, work really well together. I'd say we're kind of like at the 95-5 or, maybe even better than that, I'm definitely the one that's kind of, the visionary, kind of high in the sky, sort of chasing dreams. He's the one that's, very conservative, keeping one foot on the ground, making sure that, the lights, are staying on and we're not blowing through all of our money and things like that. So we've got a really good balance where, I can go and really kind of focus on the product and the vision and driving the company forward and recruiting and building the people. He's literally our one man accounting, finance, payroll, taxes. Like, he just one man army. And it's honestly just crazy that he was that for my last company too. But he's awesome. Everyone really enjoys, getting to work with him too. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's built and sold numerous companies. So he's kind of like the gray hair in the boardroom, if you will. Even though I'm starting to now get gray hair.
I'm gonna make sure he sees this whenever we get done. All right. Make sure he hears that one. That's pretty awesome. I don't think that's really possible for a lot of people. There's so much, once the son gets old enough, he's like, hey, I'm going to do things my way.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can work together, I think is pretty amazing.
I think he's always been in the CFO role, so he's sort of been used to, kind of they're letting somebody else sort of go be the CEO and run, the company and the vision and yada, yada. So like, it was, obviously when I, hired him my first time and now this time, he, him and I both have a very kind of, there's that mutual respect for each other, where we know our strengths. We very often we play good cop, bad cop in whatever scenario we need. Like, I'm like, Dad, I need you to come in and, hold the line here. I'm whatever it may be, but it is very, very rewarding to be able to work with my dad. He's, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur because my parents are entrepreneurs. I grew up in that environment. And so, I give him a lot of credit for that. And, at the end of the day, he's an awesome, awesome resource to have on our team. And, a lot of the people call him Uncle Don. That's kind of how, again, family oriented we are. So
that's pretty cool. It sounds like a place I'd be pretty cool at working with. If you were to put yourself in your customer's shoes, what would you say that they believe is the biggest problem you solve for them?
Helping them get organized, is probably one of the things that, immediately comes to mind. Again, a lot of times, companies don't know their numbers. They don't know their costs. They're kind of, again, just living paycheck to paycheck, invoice to invoice, just trying to sell at whatever, thing that they can, and I think helping them with a tool to organize that, whether it's, organizing their catalog and all the, all of the materials and all of the services and the labor and everything, like having that in one place, having all of their, their customers and the CRM and their leads and, all their jobs, and like keeping track of everything and just having that system to organize their business is huge, and I think that's, if I had to guess, the number one thing that they would say is just helping them get organized. And then, but also it's helping them become, a better contractor. It's helping them, step it up a notch and become more professional, having those proposals and being able to collect the e-signatures and collecting online payments, like, having that digital, that customer portal where the customer can be engaged, like, some of those things that, if a homeowner is looking at two different contractors, one of them gives them a written estimate, a piece of paper. The other one gives them, a digital estimate where they can, come in there, it's interactive. They can make their selections, and I want to add this, I want to do that. And then they can sign it. It's a whole nother level of professional.
What they expect. I mean, it really is the expectation of the consumer out there right now is that they don't want to have paper. I know I'm one of those guys. Like my printer hasn't worked in 3 years. Like I just don't even use it. Like whatever. It just sits over there now, holding down a spot on my desk.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go on. Like today, I went on and I had to sign a release for my prescription stuff, and it was like, boom, boom, done. See you later. There was no like, hey, I got to pull up a PDF and fill it out, save it. Like that would be high tech for some of these contractors. There was no like, I have to go into an office somewhere, or I have to meet somebody, or there's a fax machine, or any of that kind of stuff. I haven't even seen a fax machine in like 15 years.
Yeah. It's
crazy to me that the industry hasn't gotten to that point fully yet. It was just so far behind. And it was really and truly, it's a big reason why we exist. We help them from the strategic part. Like, okay, strategically, what does our process look like? Like, get that nailed down first. Okay, so this is our process. Now, how do we put that into a CRM? Because CRMs are fantastic. They do get you organized. They do make you more profitable. They do make you more efficient and effective, but they don't cover everything. No. They don't cover like, hey, this is the proper way to set up your ladder. This is how you should approach the door. These are the things you should say. And we need to have it that detailed, because that's how it becomes a well-oiled machine, because you eliminate 80% of the questions that you would normally get asked. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? And so do you do that inside of your own company as well? The stuff beyond just the work part of it, like the how-to part of it? Do you do any of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, again, you gotta set up processes, you gotta train your people. It's same deal.
Yeah, that's it's pretty awesome to see people doing it. We work with a lot of CRM companies, because what happens is we go through and we get it all down, and we say, okay, here's all the spots in my process where I would like a CRM to be involved to handle this thing or to automate that thing.
Yep.
Then based on that, we can take that criteria to the various CRMs out there and go, which one fits? Which one actually fits this thing? Which, walking into it that way, you are in much better position to choose the right software for what you do. Because I see that a lot, the mistake of choosing the wrong thing and then going, all right, I've been using this wrong thing for me for the last 2 years. I haven't used it very effectively or efficiently. Now I got to get out of it. Do you see any of that, like somebody having to move from one to you, and do you help facilitate that in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and when I tell people, like, I think the number one thing you can do is, like, before you go out shopping, like, you need to know what you're looking for. Like, what challenges are you having? When I took over that construction company, the first thing I did was I sat down with each person and I just spent, half a day or maybe a little longer with them and said, hey, I just want to shadow you. Like, show me what you're doing every day. Show me your processes. Like, where are your bottlenecks? Like, where do you feel like you are spending the most time that you're just like frustrated that you feel like it's a waste of time. You're having to do something manual. Like, just if I could take away anything that you don't, think is a good use of your time, what would that be? Like, understanding where those challenges are for your people will help sort of you kind of map out those processes and find those bottlenecks where you can come in and improve them. and it can be hard though, when people don't, know what their options are. They don't always, it's hard to know what you're looking for if you don't understand your problems, but you also don't know what potential solutions may be out there. You got to type something into Google and know what to,
Yeah,
what to
what am I
search
searching for? Exactly.
So
We actually experienced that a lot where a contractor kind of lives with blinders on, like how they do
yeah,
things, and they don't really have a whole lot of interaction with anybody else out there.
yeah,
Even going to a conference and stuff, while you might see the things, you don't know how they relate to you.
yeah,
And then they make the mistake of getting the wrong thing because somebody was a good sales guy, then they didn't go in with the right requirements for whatever it was that they were looking for. That's a big part of what we help with, is like trying to get that kind of stuff put together.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so if somebody wanted to get a hold of you guys at Jobtread, do you do demos? What do you do to let people know about how you do it, and so they can kind of see it and make sure that it's the right fit for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to our website, www.jobtread.com, there's tons of content on there. A lot of the features have, kind of photos, videos, screenshots, things like that. There's a schedule a demo button right there on the website though. You can schedule a demo. It'll show you all of our, available times and days and times there. So, you can directly schedule right through there. You'll essentially get a live, person on the phone. We'll do it via Zoom, where we can share our screen, walk you through it. You can ask any questions. So that's a great way. Again, we want to invest the time up front to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for you. Because the last thing we want to do is have people come on who, just don't understand what it is, or because that's going to take up our resources on the customer success side. So we want to spend the time to help you learn and understand Jobtread, how it'll work for you, how it can address, your current, challenges and pain points there. Our YouTube channel is also a great place. I mean, there's tons of content. We basically publish, everything. I do, usually monthly or quarterly, customer town halls where, all of our development updates, the things that, that we just released or we're working on, or, coming up, we publish everything on our YouTube channel. So highly recommend that as well. That's a great way where you can, some of the content may be older, right? Like it might be outdated or, a little bit old, it's hard to kind of,
It's a fun thing with YouTube, right?
yeah, with, and with software, right? Things are constantly, you're adding, you're changing, so, obviously kind of take the date into account there, but, there's a lot of content out there as well, to learn more. But yeah, it's pretty easy to get a hold of us, just through the website, schedule a demo. There's, all of our contact information's on there as well.
So I got one last question for you. So this is one of the hurdles that we had, especially with me being sales director out there. I would show people AccuLinks and they would get the concept, right? Like the concept, cool, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to the owner, right? And sometimes small companies, sometimes bigger company. I'm talking to the owner. Owner's like, yes, I want it. Sign me up.
Yep.
And get them signed up. And it would fall flat on its face because that owner wasn't as engaged with it as he needed to be, likely. And so do you guys run into any of that? And I heard you say you have customer success people, but how do you avoid it on the upfront? What do you set any expectations along those lines?
Yep. So I think one of the coolest things I've seen our team do. So she's actually a former customer, a 3-time customer of my first company. Got a degree, and she actually has a PhD, so she's a doctorate in organizational change management. Ended up getting her to come over. She first started off as our in marketing, kind of director of marketing. But end of last year, she's like, look, Eric, like I'm really passionate about, helping people with learning and development. And she's like, I want to move over to the customer success team, and I want to create a training curriculum, a whole training program to help these contractors when they came on, to learn, start off at the basics and work their way through. So we now have this like full blown, like every single day, there's like 2 to 3 live trainings every day that new customers or existing customers, they can just easily sign up for. They can sit in on, go through this live training program. All of that's also recorded and available to you as well. There's a whole getting started program that we've built out directly in our application. So there's this help desk. It's got, it walks you through all of the getting started stuff, where you can kind of check it off as you're completing it. They've got a whole video library, help desk is all that, but every single customer gets assigned their own like dedicated customer success manager. And so directly in the app, you can see their cell phone, their email. You can like schedule a time if you want to have a one-on-one meeting, you can schedule that time right through the app. It, puts it on both your calendars. You'll do a Zoom meeting. And then we also have, what we call like, open office hours. And so, every single day, each customer success manager has, a dedicated, hour, and they usually do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning and Tuesday, Thursday in the afternoon or vice versa. But every day, anyone can drop into those office hours. And so they're able to just like immediately get help, right there. And like, you might have other people in there too. And it's so cool though, to see like the collaboration where other customers are like chiming in and being like, oh, well, here's how I do that. Or, have you tried this? And like, it's just this really neat environment. But like our goal is essentially to also build this community around Jobtread. We have a super active, we actually just like right before this call, we hit our 1,000th Jobtread Pro is what we call the Facebook group. So we got, all of our customers who are on Facebook and want to engage in that way are in our Facebook group. And it's just super active. And like, our goal is to create that community so that, you're not having to like, basically go at it alone. Like we want to help you get set up. We want to help you succeed. And, a lot of times it is contractors who maybe, we're on the tools, say, hey, I need some software, but they don't have a lot of experience. They might not, be as organized. They may not have, templates set up and they might not know their numbers. And that's where, you can tap into our team. We've, done this now, over 1,000 times with contractors, where we can leverage our experience as well as just tapping into that community of others. Like it's so awesome to see people who, may have a similar business, but are all the way across the country, but they're all down to help each other. And I think that's like the really neat thing about this construction industry is that like everyone's like really, really open. Now they may not be if like you're my competitor right next door, but like that's the cool thing about being able to bring all these people, from across the country and really across the world together is that we can, do this together as a group and help each other out. And, I think just making sure though that, we're always there as a resource and we've got these training programs, it's something that, really nobody has to like feel like they've been sold some software and then given a pat on the back and said, good luck. We want to be here to help you to make sure that you get it set up the right way.
That's super cool. Yeah. I like the idea of the pro. Like, I think that's important. We would call it a champion.
Yeah.
We have multiple different softwares we use here in our coaching stuff because we're running meetings and we're doing marketing and we got all these different things. We have our own CRM that we use. And I learned this while I was in the software world is I had to find somebody to be the champion of that thing. Like they own it. Like you're going to make sure that everybody else uses it. You're the one behind this because I couldn't do all of it. I also knew that wasn't one of my strengths. I'm not good at that. And that's a hard thing to say about yourself, right? Like, oh, okay, that's not my strength. I got to get somebody that's strong for.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of your companies doing that? Like, okay, owner says yes, but so-and-so, please, you're in charge of this.
It's kind of like the train the trainer, if you will, where, whoever is going to be the owner of it within the company, you definitely need a champion, somebody who is going to be that person who's going to get it all set up, kind of be that point person. The neat thing though is as we've seen this grow too, like, we now have, what we call kind of like implementation partners who, if you do want to, hire someone where they'll come out on site or maybe, we got, a couple of people who have a lot of experience, with one particular product or another. And so they now have set up programs where they'll help you migrate, and get all of your processes, get all of your team, get everything set up. There are, now kind of this like ecosystem being built around it. Same thing with like your bookkeepers, with coaches, like, it is a great opportunity. Like if you ever do need to tap into and get more, resources and help, that's always an option.
Awesome. Eric, great interview, man. We found out a lot about Jobtread. We found out a lot about you. Congratulations on 30 under 30. I think that's something you should be proud of. I hope there's like a big plaque or a trophy or something on the wall somewhere. That's pretty cool. You guys listening, watching, wherever you may be getting this on our podcast or our YouTube channel, jobtread.com. Click the demo button and get scheduled for a demo. Check it out. Sounds like they are passionate about helping you get better at what you do and do it more efficiently and effectively. Eric, thanks for being on the show, man.
I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. So guys, that was Eric Fortenberry from Jobtread. What a great story. Just this, it kind of went from software to contracting, back to software because of contracting and seeing a need out there. And really that thing of the remodeling thing is a challenge. It's a bigger thing than just kind of the one-off type of situation, although their software does all that too. But the thing I saw about it that I really liked about it is it kind of brought a bunch of things all together in one place. Your normal standard CRM stuff, but the photo documentation was in there, video documentation, the customer portal, invoicing, signing contracts, like all in one place instead of having a bunch of different pieces of software to do that, which is why I wanted to have him on here and talk a little bit about Jobtread. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Again, if you're looking for some help in getting organized in this way and being prepared to install CRMs, to put great processes into place, to ramp up your sales or increase your marketing, you want to get control of that business so it can grow and scale and help you get to those dreams that you had whenever you started your business. Check us out at contractorcoachpro.com. Scroll down a little bit, click the Take Assessment button, and fill out the assessment. It's going to take you a minute. It's going to be 15, 20 minutes. It's not a joke. It's a real assessment. And from that assessment, we'll do a free coaching call with you. Not a sales pitch, but an actual coaching call, because we're going to know a lot about you after that assessment. We're going to do that call, and we're going to give you 2 or 3 things that we've identified that would help you level up in your business. And that's free. It doesn't cost anything. If you like coaching, you want to work with us, great. That would be wonderful. If not, we hope we've served you well and that you can take that next step in your business, because that's what we're here to do, is help contractors succeed. Thank you for hanging out with us on another episode of Contractor Radio. Looking forward to seeing you again next week with another amazing guest. That's it for today. We're out on Contractor Radio.